Okay, hi. I wouldn't put too much attention on these dimensions that I used. I just threw this together, and perhaps I got lucky, but let me show you what I did. This is the first floor. I just used a standard ceiling settings of 9 feet. You'd need to set them to whatever your actual needs are. I just used the out-of-the-box defaults. In both of these spaces, the ceiling's the same on the first floor. Now I broke, see there's a break right here. I broke that wall and I broke this wall so I could separately program them. You also notice I'm using Home Designer Essentials 2012, and I set that on the roof tab to full gable wall here and here. And then I built a second floor up here, and I set this wall and this wall the same way on the roof tab, full gable wall. I set the pitch over in Build Roof Dialog to 16. Again, that was just a guess. Perhaps we'll take a look at that in a minute. And this is what I ended up with. Basically. Then we'll go over here, Control Tab, back to plan. I thought I had the roofs on there. I don't want to ignore the second floor in this case. I set the overhangs to 6 inches, but that's not significant. Okay. All right, and that's what I ended up with. So this has a 9-foot plate, this has a 9-foot plate, and then a 9-foot plate. There's a second floor. Now, your own geometry is going to determine the outcome. You know, just because I got it to work, it was just kind of a lucky happenstance. I mean, I knew kind of the general direction. Let me show you some variables. I split the screens here by using the Shift F6 command. And you hit F6 and make that one a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to go back to this screen, left click to make it the active screen. And we'll go down here, and this space here, I'm going to change its, from the default, I'm going to change its ceiling height, excuse me, to a different value, and let's see what happens. Okay, initially nothing happens, but let's go rebuild roofs. Okay, you see what happened? It dropped down. Now what did that do to the second floor? Not really very much. Let's go to a, well, let's see, Essentials doesn't have a very useful elevation camera. Let's see what it looks like. I think it just does one floor at a time instead of all floors. Yeah, that doesn't help. That doesn't help much. I guess we could use a glass house camera. Maybe that'll be a little more instructive. Okay. Make a third camera, or a third window here. See if we can see anything what's going on. See, I lowered the ceiling here. That's 8 foot, that's 9, that's 9. There's still enough geometry left in here to keep the roof from breaking up. Okay, let's go back here. Let's go like Jay Caffey did. I'm going to make the ceiling in here 12 and see what it does. Apparently Essentials doesn't have an auto rebuild roofs setting, so I have to rebuild roofs manually each time. Okay, so that's what you can get into. By raising and lowering the ceiling, you can control this roof, but I'm doing this not so because it's going to necessarily apply to what you're doing, but this is, you don't have, you can't directly select roof planes in Essentials, so you'd have to tell it what to do by various commands like this one. We'll go back to the default, and you see there's no automatic change, and we have to rebuild roofs manually again. Then it'll go back to its original setting. Let's go to the second floor and just raise it. Now, the reason I want you to understand, this is how you can manipulate roofs. This is a way in the direction of what you want. Now, the actual ceiling heights are secondary to getting the roof correct. You do whatever you have to do to get the roof correct, and once it's correct, you don't rebuild the roof. Then you can change ceiling heights back to where you might want them. I'm going to raise the second floor to 12 feet, which initially there's no change. I mean, there'll be if we did an interior camera view of just this second floor, you would notice a change. You can see that line there. So that's what that is. This dashed line here is actually where the roof becomes part of the ceiling, and the flat part goes up and eclipses. You get the idea. Okay. Now, when I rebuild roofs over here, click OK. We'll see. It'll probably throw up see it threw up the geometry and separated the roof planes. So this is what I wanted to show you, and that this is how you can control how these things work. We'll go back over here and reset that to default, and then rebuild roofs, and that should go back like it was. So your ceiling height settings and your wall dialog settings are how you control the roofs and make hip roofs or shed roofs. Or one other setting, now it's not germane to what we're doing here, but if you wanted to make a particular change in just one area, like over here, I'm going to open this roof dialog, wall dialog, go to the roof tab, and there's input here. The lower pitch is currently set to the default, which I set in build roofs. Let's set it to 312 just for fun, and then rebuild roofs, and you'll see it. Just that one roof plane here, it will no longer be 16. It'll be what I told it to be. May look goofy, but I mean, this is how you control things. That's now 312. This is 1612. Let's see. Let me hit F12 to rebuild that. See if we can get rid of those little wall. Well, I just gave the software a little bit of a problem by giving it carried out the command, but it also created secondary problems. Let's change that to, go to the roof tab, set that to something a little steeper, and rebuild roofs, and you'll see it go a little bit steeper. Okay. So this is 1612, that's 812, because I told it to be 812 and 1612. So when you want to diverge from from the global setting over here and build roofs, which is I set to 16, see, then that's how you do it. You tell the wall that you want it to be different over on the roof tab to have a different pitch. Or I can just type a D in here, and that'll make it go back to the dynamic. That's what that D stands for, dynamic default. That's back to 1612 and 1612, or, well, yeah, 1612, 1612. So hopefully this will help you out and others. When you're dealing with anything but Pro or Chief, you're totally dependent on dialog box settings to control the roofs. And you can control them with patience and making sure that all your ducks in a row. Thank you.